Hey, real quick before we start the podcast, if you have listened to more than one episode, can you do me a favor and rate and review the show? Now, I'm not big on asking for favors, but we really want to get this podcast listed in the top of all health and fitness podcasts, not just the fitness category. This will take you less than a minute, and if you could do that, that would make us friends forever. And since we refuse all sponsors on the show, this will be my only ask rather than telling you to go check out some supplement or product we don't actually believe in, like every other podcast out there. So please rate and review. Okay, that's it. To the podcast. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Jerred Moon here from the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. And today I'm going to be answering the question, how do you stay motivated when you are in your garage gym? So if you are a garage gym athlete, you've been doing this for a while like I have, then most of your training sessions are alone. You don't actually get to train with other people all that often unless you do have a friend, a neighbor, whatever coming over, and that also works with your schedule. But, the best part about being a garage gym athlete is being able to train whenever you want. But that freedom also comes with a lot of responsibility, right? You have to be very self-disciplined. If you're not motivated, there's no one there to check you. So really, what do you do if you are a garage gym athlete and you're training alone? So I have 3 different ways that I've kind of found over the years, talking with athletes and methods I've used myself to make sure that I stay motivated and I'm getting those training sessions in. So the first one is always have a goal. And this one has bit me so many times. If I'm just trying to stay consistent or, I don't really have like a back squat goal or a mile time goal, I can kind of let the goal slide and I don't really have a goal. And so you really have to get creative about what the goal is. So a lot of times I think a good goal for most athletes would be signing up for some sort of event, whether that's a race, a run, a 5K, a Spartan race, obstacle course race, something like that. Having a goal like that in the future is going to make sure that you have a legitimate thing to train for and that you need to get better at. And it's also this, it's something that's coming, right? It's exterior. It's not just like, hey, I want my back squat to be this. Now, while that's a fine goal, but if we go back to being, lacking motivation, you might not, get there, or you'll just keep pushing it down. You won't really care. If you have something that's a little bit more time bound, like an event, then you're going to be a little bit more motivated to get that done. So always have a goal, and it can be something, simple. Like going back to if just doing the back squat or the mile time. If you want to do those things, I think those are great goals too. But always have something, even if you're injured. If you hurt your knee or your ankle or your back or whatever, your goals change quite a bit. It doesn't mean you're not allowed to have goals anymore. So if your knee's hurting and you can't really squat, well, the goal should now be to properly squat and be able to load the knee and be able to work out how you once did. And so your goals take a lot of, steps back when you get injured, if you do get injured, but you still need to have a goal, and it needs to be written down and it needs to be very clear. Anytime I don't have a goal, I just feel like I'm going through the motions, which is fine, but I don't really allow myself to set consistency goals anymore. And that's the last type of goal, I'd like to mention. So for some athletes, that's all you need. You just need, I'm going to hit 3 training sessions this week. I'm going to hit 5 training sessions this week. I'm going to hit this many sessions this month. Now, this is a phenomenal goal. But the reason I don't do it anymore is because it's not quite enough to keep moving me forward. For me, I have consistency down. I'm pretty good at not missing training sessions in any given week or any given month. And so for me, it's just kind of checking a box that's already checked. And so I don't like to do that for myself anymore. And I think that's another thing you need to bring to the goals that you set is the self-awareness of, are you actually setting a goal that's going to push you a little bit? And so if consistency is going to push you, if that's something you struggle with, I think it's one of the best goals that you could set as a garage gym athlete. But if it's not something that you struggle with, don't just have these vanity metrics that don't actually matter. Have something that's going to push you, something that's going to challenge you. You're going to have to be uncomfortable in order to achieve this goal and move forward. So that's the first thing. Always have a goal. Doesn't really matter what it is. Make sure it pushes you, and have that written down somewhere on your whiteboard in your garage, so you can see it every single day. The second thing I think works really well is having a training partner Now, a lot of times we can't have a training partner. Like I said, we have this freedom. Maybe we're fitting in workouts before work, after work, middle of the day, something that might just not work out for, a family member or a friend who would come over and train with you. But I still think that if you can get a training partner a certain amount of days per week, or the weekends, whatever, I think that it's really good. Now, I really feel like there are two different types of training partners. So the first type I would say is a consistency training partner. My brother trains with me most days per week. So I do about 6 days per week. He is typically coming for 3 or 4 of those days. And we are very different fitness levels. And so he's not there to push me. He's not there to make sure I'm trying hard on the intervals, but he absolutely 100% is a consistency partner. Because if I'm ever running behind at work or I got busy, it doesn't matter. Once he gets to my house, I'm not going to be like, well, I got other things to do, bro. I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing and we're going to train at the time we said we're going to train, and we're going to be there. And he has the same expectation of me. So when he shows up, so that's a consistency training partner. And I think a consistency training partner is amazing. You don't always need this training partner who's, equally yoked as you as far as like what you can lift and how fast you can run. But that is the second type of training partner. So the second type of training partner is the person who maybe you don't need to come over every single day. It'd be cool if they do, but maybe they do just come on a Saturday for Meet Yourself Saturday workout, or they come, once a month, something like that. But when they come, you guys are either pretty even, or they're, preferably they're even a little bit fitter than you. And so they are going to push you way outside your comfort zone. And I think that that's, something that we don't get a lot of as garage gym athletes, is someone to push us outside of our comfort zone. That's why I also think going to events is really beneficial. But having that partner who can come over, kind of like show you what trying hard actually looks like, I think that that's a phenomenal thing to have. So get a training partner if you can. Like I said, there are two different types in my mind, how I think about it. So either get a consistency training partner or get one that's going to push you because simply they're better than you. Now, the third way to stay motivated as a garage gym athlete would be to track your workouts and compete against yourself. This is something, I've honestly been doing for years. I'm incredibly competitive with myself. I don't actually care that much about what other people can do, or, what they can squat, how many push-ups they can do, anything like that, because I'm not competing in anything. So if I see some random person able to do something amazing, I have no competitive nature for that at all. But with myself, I have a ton of competition. I just don't want to see degradation in my performance year over year. And the only way to know if your performance is increasing or decreasing is to write it down. So make sure that you're tracking your workouts in a lot of detail and every little thing. I used to think that you really only needed the big things, like writing down the PRs in a journal. But if you can do all the other little things, like, oh, well, here were my splits when I was running 400 meters 2 years ago. You can look at these things. It's way better to compete against yourself with those things. And if you ever find yourself like, wow, there's a huge gap, like I was so much faster 2 years ago. Okay, well, what have you not been doing? Have you been doing all the same type of training, but maybe you're just not trying as hard? Going back to training with yourself, training by yourself, and not pushing yourself as hard. So when I see those numbers, if I'm like, oh, well, I could do that many push-ups in a single set and I can't do that anymore, I get infuriated, and I want to start training and working on that thing. And so that's what I'm always looking at. If you have that same desire, that competitive nature with yourself, definitely make sure that you're keeping a detailed workout journal, whether that's written in the cloud somewhere, wherever. Keep a detailed journal of everything that you're doing, down to warm-up sets, everything. That way, because nothing's worse than getting back to an exercise or a weight and not really knowing what you did last time. So you're not really making progress. So track everything and compete against yourself as much as you can. And those are the three ways I have found to stay motivated as a garage gym athlete. I've been in the garage training basically by myself for over 10 years. And I feel like those things have helped me out a lot. So one, always have a goal, have a training partner, know the different types and select appropriately for yourself, and then track and compete against yourself. But that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching or listening. For listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.